friends, good morning, hello, and welcome to another edition of Love Wrestling's Sunday Brunch. Spencer here, the Love Wrestling crew here. Goose already getting things going with the honk, honk, honk in the corner. And, of course, some friends already hopping in the comment section. It's great to see you guys. As usual, we are here for a very loose chat about professional wrestling, everything going on within it. And, of course, whatever you in the comments have going on. So feel free to say hello. Feel free to give it shout-outs like our friend Sandy hopping in. Hello, good to see you, friend. And, of course, Sam hopping in again. I feel like we're lucky enough to say this every week, guys, but another guy who has been on pretty well every Sunday brunch since January, which, like, we're 4 months into it. It's pretty insane by this point, but it's great to see you as well, Sam. Of course, if you guys are watching on Twitch, on Facebook, on YouTube, or, of course, we are being torrented illegally on some system we don't even know about yet. Rad, but thank you very much for tuning in. JPJ, you're the man to my right. You're the gentleman who I'm going to kick this one off with. How are you doing, friend? It's good to see you this morning.
Good to see you and everyone else. I'm doing very, very well. I'm excited for this. It's been a few weeks since I've been on, so I'm excited for brunch. I'm glad we got a full crew here to talk some good stuff and some not so good stuff that happened this past week in the wrestling community. So, yeah, I'm excited to get after it here.
Absolutely, Mr. Parrish throwing shots in your little bio right there after last night. I don't disagree with you, but it was a blast seeing you last night. And, of course, Mighty Joe and Goose as well, joining us on the inaugural edition of Blowing Off Stream, our Twitch exclusive. That was a blast, man. It's good to see you less than 24 hours, less than 12 hours really later. But how are you? What's new since I've seen you last?
I'm still voting my Topaz. That's not new. But no, I'm well. Trying to finalize some fantasy football trades. Getting in the spirit of fantasy football. The draft is coming up, but excited. We're finally a week out of WrestleMania, so we're now starting the new season for WWE. And, well, it happened.
Well, and sorry, that's very rad. I'm going to hop to you next, but just got to interrupt. Big shout out to Maguminati with not only a great name, but not only that, purchasing a tier 3-month subscription on Twitch. A huge thank you to you. That really, really means a lot. If you guys are on Twitch, you guys do have the option to give us a subscription. As of a week ago today, we're affiliates. So thank you very, very much for the support. That genuinely means the world. Throw some of those smiley Spencer face emojis that you got access to in there, because I certainly know I'm happy about it. And I know I speak for everyone else here on that end of things. JJ, good to see you as well. Thanks for hopping in for another edition of Sunday Brunch. Throw your comments in. We're still deciding on topics. Of course, a lot in the wrestling world occurring last week. But before we get to that, let's move to the man in the bottom right. Canadian Goose, how you doing, friend?
I'm pretty decent. How are you boys?
I'm a thumbs up. I'm a big thumbs up.
Thumbs up here, too.
Sorry, I had no idea how to play Among Us last night. I had no clue. I was watching the stream along, so every time Zach was the imposter, I knew immediately. It was like, how do you guys not know what's going on here? Somebody had to give me the Iggy that you're not allowed to watch the stream while you're playing.
Well, that's fine.
Dude, sus. Well, I didn't know.
Well, we'll be playing something else next week. I think it's Jackbox was the game that was decided on for next Saturday. But, of course, as with WWE and professional wrestling as a whole, plans may change. Before we get to that, though, JPJ, got to give a quick shout-out. Our friend Maguminati hopping in. I needed JPJ emoji stat.
Yeah, I need to send a picture, but I need one, too.
That was my reply. You need to send us a picture. So get that one in. But again, a big thank you. That really, really means a lot. I know I speak for all of us, but I'm going to let Mighty Joe let us know not only how he feels about our wonderful subscribers over here on Twitch, but how he's doing today. How you doing, Mighty Joe?
Well, like you just said, super happy that we've already just shortly after being affiliates on Twitch, we already have, like you said, tier 3 subscribers. I think that's pretty pretty awesome. And again, just kind of still buzzing a little bit after our stream last night, but a little disappointed that I wasn't able to be an imposter and repeatedly kill Spencer. So
I was a little disappointed that I had to be the imposter like 4 or 5 times in a row.
Yeah.
But the people that
you watch
don't
next
know
time.
Among Us right now are really confused.
I wasn't until last night.
Including me, and I played it last night.
And of course, last but certainly not least, but definitely as well, the most contractually obliged to be here, Mr. J. How you doing, friend?
I am good. I avoided the debacle that was the live Twitch stream last night by getting, what's it called? What was it? Sleep. So yes, I chose the wiser decision rather than playing video games. So
Well,
no harm done, but no, games are for children. I might be there next time, but we never know.
Well, it's good to see you. It's good to see all of you gentlemen this morning. And of course, if you guys are in the comments section, let us know if you've got any comments, questions, concerns, any topics of discussion for today. Of course, we do like keeping things positive. So this might be a shorter conversation than intended. But of course, the big news coming out of the wrestling world last week is not only a lot of great pro wrestlers, but a lot of great people being released by the WWE. Names like Samoa Joe and Billy Kay and Chelsea Green and Tucker and a lot of great individuals. I think there were 8 or 9, if my math's correct on it. But just giving thoughts, maybe some fantasy booking, everything around it. And if you guys are in the comments as well, feel free to throw them at us. Let's give a quick shout as well to our friend Ed in here. Loved the gaming stream last night. Thank you very much for tuning in. It's always appreciated. And big thanks to Mighty Joe, actually, like we said last night, for throwing the idea in there. It's appreciated. So for that, my friend, I'm going to turn to you. What are your thoughts on the WWE releases? Any, I know they all came as a surprise, but any that maybe particularly stood out, or what are your thoughts on that?
For me, the 2 big ones were Joe and Mickey James. Joe, I thought was a real kind of baller. For me, Mickey is another one though too. I mean, at the very least, keep her around and use her at the Performance Center. I would have thought, but I think that all of these people are going to have opportunities outside of the WWE, and they all seem to be pretty grateful about their time spent there. But like I said, Joe and Mickey are the 2 big ones for me. Joe, just to kind of throw some possibilities out there, I see Joe go into Ring of Honor, and I see Mickey end up in the NWA with her husband over there in that kick-ass women's division over there. So.
Yeah. And that's why, unlike maybe last year where it was in the middle of a pandemic and again, there's never a good time for a release unless it's something that I think a performer particularly asked for, which of course we've got no info on that end of things, right? If anybody wanted to get out and was able to get out, great. That's a fantastic thing. But obviously with everything right now, like you said, Joe, why I'm a little happier to talk about it this time, not happier, but a little more, I guess, comfortable, for lack of a better word for it, is, like you said, everybody seems fairly optimistic with it. There are a lot of great opportunities out there in pro wrestling, whether it's the NWA, Ring of Honor, Impact, even going over to New Japan, hopefully when travel gets a little bit easier for not just pro wrestlers, but the rest of the world. I think there's a lot of opportunities there. And like you said, a lot of great pro wrestlers now hitting the free agent market. Mr. J, I'll turn to you next. Is there anybody who's particularly caught your eye? Any maybe dream matches on the table that you're looking forward to?
Well, I just want to see Joe wrestle again. But
great point.
Great point. My gut reaction for this week was, you got to be joking, man. They let Billy Kay go, even after the wonderful, fantastic work. And I know there are people out there that agree with me on this. That resume did not merit getting released.
No.
It's
Billy and Jilly at the Rumble. Again, it's such a small example, but a perfect one of what a great character she is. I can't remember who said it the other day, but somebody said, and I mean this in the most complimentary way, not everybody needs to be your Io Shirai's or your Seth Rollins or your incredible technical wizards, for lack of a better way to put it, right? Professional wrestling for me is at its best when it's a variety show. And Billy Kay was a vital component of not just, the last few episodes, about the last 4 or 5 months of professional wrestling television. She was consistently entertaining despite a lack of time in a lot of people's opinion. But I think you're bang on there, Mr. J. Is there anybody you're maybe looking forward to her matching up with? Is there any particular direction you want to see her go?
personally, and I have had a few discussions about this, I really just want to see her maybe not wrestle, but I'd love to see her go back and forth with Britt Baker.
Yeah.
Because I think that would be funny. And also, I think it would actually lead to a pretty good, probably back and forth match series if it's booked right.
Oh, yeah. Billie Kay is an underrated pro wrestler. She trained with Madison Eagles before the Performance Center. If you watch I know it's such a cliche in pro wrestling, but like if you watch her on the indies, not that she had any terrible matches in WWE, but you watch some of the stuff she did prior to coming to the Performance Center, she is a great pro wrestler, and I'm really excited. I'm really excited for a lot of professional wrestlers, whether it's Billie Kay or otherwise, that maybe people look at as WWE developmental or individuals that were brought up in that system, not to discredit what the Performance Center did. But when you see those people really hit the indies for the first time after developing a big name, it's always, always exciting for me. Parrish, I'll move to you next. But before we do, let's give a quick shout out to a couple of people in the comments. Double J hopping in with 2 comments in a row. Aptly enough, first things first, screw WWE for budget cuts. Secondly, everyone is talented enough to end up somewhere. I agree. Again, cuts for me are never comfortable or fun to talk about, but the fact that they were made due to budget cuts, quote unquote, it always seems odd to me, and I don't know how a business works at that sort of scale, obviously. But like you quite literally signed that Peacock deal, 2-3 months ago? Even if you got like a proverbial... Yeah, like you get a down payment or a cash advance.
They don't have the money. I trust this corporation into what? Sorry, I'm on my. Never mind.
They had to pay Shane McMahon nearly $1 million for his 8 appearances last year.
Well, and you know what? Like, go ahead. Like, I've got no issue with them paying Shane or Bad Bunny or whoever it may be that comes in that gets those high paydays. But when you're doing those, and then you're also saying that it's budget cuts again after you've signed these big deals, it doesn't sit right with me.
The optics are really bad. The optics
That's
of
the best way to put
are
it.
bad.
Exactly.
At least this time, and it didn't come out. That they basically gave themselves a bonus after letting a bunch of these people go. So at least that hasn't come out yet. So and hopefully,
I'm just going to add. There's a word missing there.
Yeah.
It's
yet. Yeah.
And then just to get back to the comments as well, because they're picking up Samoa Joe versus Shingo, Suzuki, Chris Bay, Omega, and many more exciting Joe matches.
Ishii over in Japan too.
There's a ton out there, like you guys said. Whether he goes back to Ring of Honor, there are a ton of individuals there that he hasn't had the chance to match up with. It's insane. It's really insane the amount of talent out there for any of these individuals to be working. It's brunch time, says Wrestling Plug Inc. A tip of the hat to you, friend. Good to see you. I love brunch, says Andre C. And of course, a big thank you for not only tuning in this morning, but last night for blowing off stream. It's good to see you. And then Samuel hopping in. Did WWE go to journalism school for that? I'm not even going to bother trying and doing the impression. I would do a great disservice to a great professional wrestler. Ed hopping in the comments, and Parrish again. I know I was hopping in and getting some comments in about 5 minutes ago and now, but I did say before that it was your turn to head next. So where would you guys like to see Kalisto end up? AAA or New Japan or Ring of Honor? Do you have an opinion on either of those 3? Anywhere else? Or what are your thoughts, my friend?
My turn now? Yay! Yes. No, I'd actually like to see Kalisto do stuff with Rey Fenix. And to be honest, I think those guys would actually gel very well together. To be honest, I'd like to see both Pentagon, Rey Fenix, and everyone in Lucha House Party kind of do something. I think that'd just be really cool. I think it'd be a shame for AAA not to pick up more of their homegrown guys and try to then affiliate with an AEW or like an MLW for matter, like just something just to gain that more attraction in North America, like the major markets in North America. But to be honest, like when it comes to Joe and Mickey James, like this really sucks because I think a lot of us are just like true fans of them. I want to make sure Joe is healthy, and he's publicly stated that he does not hold WWE in any negativity about the way they've handled him. And in fact, he has actually praised them for taking care of him and making sure that if he was to come back, he's in the safe manner, and he respects that for him. I also think when it comes to the two, like Mickey and
before
Samoa,
after they fired him.
That was like a month and a half ago.
Okay, so yeah, I wonder if his opinion has changed now that he's not going to get a paycheck anymore.
That's a fair point. That's
I
a
don't
pretty
think
fair
so,
point.
Goose. And I'm going to explain why, because this guy understands business probably better than a lot of the people who were fired or released. And he understands his positioning. And he's somebody that honestly could land somewhere else and just be fine. But I think with these two, they're kind of like with Mickey and Samoa, they're more at the tail end of their career, and they've been used in like commentating roles recently, more so Joe. But I wonder if this is part of maybe WWE wanting to keep them, but not as a performer, like a in-ring performer role, and more so as like a broadcasting thing. Time will tell on that one. As for the other talent, I think this is a blessing in disguise because a lot of them weren't truly used that much on the shows, whereas now they have enough steam to go somewhere else, be a main contributor, or have like a good impact, no pun intended.
Oh, come on. The pun fully intended, Parrish. Don't lie to us there.
No, because I honestly believe more people are going to go to either Ring of Honor and AEW and not Impact, just to be honest. But at the same time, I think they're going to be just fine because they have the steam right now with their name value and the situation that they're going to go somewhere and pick it up and whatnot. As for who I want to see, I still like to see Iconics against a Velvet Sky and Angelina Love at some point. Like, it doesn't have to be a match.
Hell of a call.
But I think
That's
that'd
a
be very
great
entertaining. I also would like to see Mickey James actually be with Britt Baker because I think of that vet with her can really help propel Britt Baker to be a face of the women's division in AEW.
See, I would have to.
I already think she is the face of that women's division, and it's nothing against all of the other women in that, but like, yeah, Britt Baker, by my money, has been arguably the MVP of pro wrestling over the first 4 months of it.
Then it's time to put the title on her. Then it's truly.
I don't disagree with you at all. I really don't disagree. I really don't.
For me, with AEW is, I mean, hopefully, if there's some, maybe only one or two, but not too many, because I mean that roster is already really bloated as it is. You know, we have
that's a really good point too.
4 shows now, and there's still people that they are still kind of sitting on the sidelines. So these people, the grass might seem greener on the other side, but they may get over there and then be right back in the same situation again. Oh, well, I'm not being used. I'm just sitting watching television. You know, so
and that's exactly, and you know, we've all brought up Ring of Honor a couple of times. They've got their women's tournament coming up in summer 2021. I don't know if there's been exact dates announced on that end yet, but like you look at a Chelsea Green, you look at, like we say, a Billie Kay, a Peyton Royce, a Mickey James, even just hopping in for 1 or 2 appearances as far as that goes. JJ hopping in the comments here as well. Impact Wrestling Slammiversary will get a nice payday again because, there could be that speculation that, maybe a Chelsea Green, who just would seem to be on the surface a natural fit with Deonna Purrazzo there and Matt Cardona there on at least a temporary basis. I don't know if he signed a contract there yet. I can only speculate. It just seems to be a natural fit, right? So maybe that doesn't it just bodes well for all professional wrestling. Again, hopefully out of a really shitty situation comes some really, really, really great things. Sandy hopping in here as well. Samoa Joe to Impact. I don't hate that idea. I think the Ring of Honor return is definitely something I've romanticized, and a lot of people have romanticized just because of everybody loves a homecoming story. And it's nothing against the work he did in TNA, but Joe is a Ring of Honor guy through and through, at least in my opinion. That's where my heart is. Would I be mad to see him show up in Impact and face off with Moose? I know Moose called him out on Twitter. There's just an easy example, right? Again, the possibilities are endless, to steal another cliche from it. JPJ, I haven't asked you for your solo spot on this yet. What are your thoughts on the releases, obviously, outside of the negativity that just naturally does come with a release? Outside of that, though, where are you thinking? What are you thinking? Who are you thinking faces off with each other? What are you, what's going through the mind?
It's sad to see anybody lose a job, but like you said at the top, like, we're in a wrestling world now where there's more opportunity than ever. So it's not an automatic complete negative, like, oh, they got fired from WWE, so we're never going to see them again. We're not in that world anymore, which makes it's sad to see someone lose their job, but it makes it a tad easier to digest what's happening. For me, I think, the main talk for the week, the most shocking ones, at least, in the wrestling world that I've seen, were the Iconics and Joe. But I also think, and I know our friend Ed mentioned it, I think Kalisto was kind of like he hasn't been used a ton. I get it, but like he had been working on this heel character, split himself from the Lucha House Party. He was on 205 Live having great matches. We all know he can wrestle and he's really good, but he can talk. He's a really good talker.
He does those good lucha things.
Yes, and but he can talk, and he's very good. He's a very good talker, and with this new kind of heel role, he had been forming a character a little bit. Like I thought, throw him down in NXT with the Cruiserweight title down there, and have him be involved with that. Like,
right?
He was the one that he wasn't getting talked as much as the other three. I felt like Joe and the Iconics were the main people that everyone was talking about the most, but I felt like Kalisto was right in there. I feel like it's just a missed opportunity with, but the Iconics I'm sad about. I feel like they shouldn't have been broken up to begin with. They got broken up. There was no plan to breaking them up. And then 3 months later or 4 months later, however long it was, now they're both not with the company. I feel like that happened because of their own booking, which makes me, I don't know. To me, it's just like, what are you doing? Like
certainly
they weren't
frustrating. That's I think the best way I can put it without like
what,
and a better way to put it.
Yeah, and like Mr. J, like Billie Kay is fantastic. Every time she's on the screen, she makes you smile, she makes you laugh. Like that's what Santino Marella was for a decade or longer. Yeah. Like why is there no room for that? I would have liked them to have just been the Iconics, but like if you're going to separate them, how is there no room for 5 minutes of comedy a week? What?
Because
what are we talking about?
Things.
Like, it's just frustrating.
That's about the best way you can put it, Mr. J.
We're not allowed to have nice things.
And I'm gonna throw some shade on a guy that I really like, but this is WWE because WWE keeps their nostalgic backs all the time. We talk about the comedy factor of what Billie Kay can bring in. The reason why is because they have to give that time to R-Truth in the 24/7 title, which I don't think a lot of people want to see much anymore because that's something that's kind of phasing out, in my opinion. But because they can't get away from their own nostalgic backs, they give away these fresh faces that kind of cost their future a little bit because they keep going back to what they know instead of what they want to create. And because they're not necessarily their creation per se, or they got over on their own, they always seem to get the short end of the stick.
You know what? I think you make a good point there. And it's, again, nothing against R-Truth, even nothing against the 24/7 title. For me, I always thought it was a huge missed opportunity when they were running with Carmella as the 24/7 champion and running with the women's division with it. And I think that, again, maybe if you were to run that back, have Billie Kay carry that title and have it held in, I don't like the phrase because it's got such a negative connotation to it to a lot of wrestling fans, but in that comedic role, like you said, JPJ, there's so much room for that sort of stuff in pro wrestling. They're obviously willing to give it the 5 minutes because they were consistently giving Billie Kay that 5 minutes. They're giving truth, and rightfully so. I do want to, again, play off Parrish stressing it as well. Like, you can give that time to a guy like R-Truth, but when you've got someone like a Billie Kay as well who can fill that role, why would you not try and add more talent to the pool? I guess that's the weirdest way I can phrase it, but like give those people who have earned the time. And R-Truth has earned the time, but I think everybody would also argue if he's earned the time, then Billie Kay's earned it hand over fist, right? We've only got a couple of minutes here before we take our one and only break on the show, so let's make sure we give a couple of quick shouts to our friends in the comments. Kim throwing out there when we were chatting about the women's tournament. Can't wait for Women of Honor to start up again. I agree. There's going to be a lot of great talents. I love what they've done, like you guys say, with Angelina Love and Quinn McKay. I think Quinn McKay could be someone who will go far in this tournament and do really, really well with it. It's going to be a blast. Billy and Peyton could totally elevate Impact's women's tag division and help grow it. I like that one.
I was watching a little bit of Impact Wrestling this week, and Emma's on there. I don't know what her current ring name is, but Emma. And
Tennille Dashwood.
They should just bring in the Iconics to be Emma's thugs, and they can be like, instead of the APA, they'll be the IPA, the Iconic Protection Agency. But I'm not worried. That's a joke. It's also like, I'm serious.
The IPA is the Irishman Parish Alliance. All right, that's been taken.
Well, and who has to change their name now, says Sandy. Admittedly, I don't know on that end of things because, and again, it's just the rumors of things, but WWE trademarked Chelsea Green's name is what the rumor was for merchandise and all of that, but it's also her real name. And it's also something she's still using. Will she have to change her real name? I doubt it, but I have quite literally no idea on the legalities or anything of that sort of thing, right? Sandy is well raising a great point. I don't want all released superstars to go to AEW. It seems then AEW is a mini WWE roster. I agree, and I think that up to this point, they have done a pretty good job of walking that line. I will err on that side of things, but I also think that it's something that's very easy to jump the shark on.
But
it really is.
With that being said, if a Samoa Joe is available to you, I think you're foolish not to go after it, though.
100%.
Like,
I agree. If they signed all 8, though, I think is what Sandy Moore means.
Yeah.
Is if they signed all 8 or 9, that would be
Mojo
over.
Rawley shows up on AEW to challenge Cody Rhodes.
But at the same time, and this is where I was saying with AEW, they're going to eventually have people that leave their company and go to a WWE, where we saw Eva Lease leave as like just recently. There's going to be a time when even AEW is going to be painted as the bad person in a scenario like WWE's now, where they have to make these moves at some point. So just prepare. It will happen eventually.
Fair point. Goose, I'm going to give you the last word on this one, and then we're going to head to a quick break. When we get back, Joe's got a couple of topics in the private chat here. We've got a couple of good questions in the comment section. So, Goose, I'll give you the final word, at least for now, on the WWE releases. Anybody that maybe caught your eye, or anybody you're particularly looking forward to maybe working somewhere else, or what are the positives, I guess, that you can take from it?
Well, I don't think...
Sorry, I got to give the Judge Ben Omen, Bo Dallas to RCW confirmed. Goose, back to you.
I mean, I can see Bo Dallas coming to RCW. I'd wrestle Bo Dallas. Why not? But like, I kind of took a shot there at Mojo Rawley, and I didn't mean to like come across as a negative or anything. Because like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think of those people that were released, Mojo Rawley seems like the most logical one to me. But like, who knows what the guy has in the tank? Like, I think he was kind of given a bunch of crap content like to do in WWE, so it was kind of hard to get behind him. But I'm curious to see where he ends up. I'd like to see him show up in Impact and team with Zack Ryder again. I think that would be pretty good. And like you say, like everybody's like, oh, I don't want to see them all go to AEW, and neither do I. But I definitely want to see Samoa Joe go to AEW. I really do.
Yeah, I can't blame you there at all. There are a ton of dream matches on the card there. Like I said, we're going to commercial. I ain't even going to start listing all of them. Before we do, I also want to give a quick shout out to RK Athletics, of course, sponsoring all the live content we've got going on here on Love Wrestling. Why does he sponsor the live content? Because not only can you see RK Athletics' own Rich King in the flesh, if you guys are lucky enough to be in the Edmonton area, he's offering one-on-one personal training, which, yes, if you're comfortable, you are able to do so in the Edmonton area right now. And if you guys aren't, you guys can check out some online personal training. He's a great guy. He's doing great things. Again, I say it all the time, and it's, oh yeah, I was going to say he's a huge dude. But most importantly, if he can inspire someone like me, who is probably the laziest individual you'll ever meet in some circumstances, he can get me inspired to get a little more excited about my own fitness and that sort of stuff. It's a win. It's 100% a win. We'll be right back. I am going to send us to a quick clip here as I click through the side. I got the opportunity to speak to PCO a couple of months ago. Again, he is a great individual. I don't think I need to sell you guys on that. He is a great pro wrestler. I definitely don't need to sell you guys on that. And he is someone who works harder than most people in any job anywhere ever. But he spoke very highly of someone who works even harder than him. We've talked a lot about professional wrestling. I think we all saw a fake fight last night in that Jake Paul boxing match. So let's talk about some
bullshit.
So let's talk about some real fighting. Let's talk about PCO's time training with UFC legend Georges St-Pierre. We'll be right back. Check this quick clip out from my upcoming interview, though. They're said so often for a reason, right? You mentioned those leadership trees and the people that you sort of follow. One person that I wanted to pick your brain on specifically, you mentioned that you were training with Georges St-Pierre a while back. Maybe just take me through how he sort of inspired you and continued to motivate you, because
you know, they're very similar worlds between the UFC and professional wrestling, but obviously very different as well.
Yeah, I think George was like one of the most disciplined athlete that I've seen around me. Like when I trained with him, it was just training from morning to night. Basically, like it was if we have done the workout training in the gym, like for musculation, like just body parts and everything, you know, bodybuilding type of deal where everything for the strengths. And then we would go to his house and then we'd run some sprints, and then we would run like, you know, like, yeah, basically a bunch of sprints. And I remember it was during December, it was super cold and a lot of ice and snow, and we would go like every day. And after that, I would do my own thing. So he was going to his like striking coaches, and then he had like his jiu-jitsu course, and then he had like 4 or 5 trainings per day. So and it was nonstop. And I trained with him like for maybe 3 months, and man, I learned so much. You know, I learned so much. Like when I saw him like having all the success that he had, like to me it was no fluke, no luck. Like a lot of people sometimes they think someone is lucky to have like great skills or anything like that, but he worked for everything that he had.
There you go, the French-Canadian Frankenstein on another Canadian legend, Georges St-Pierre. That one's going to be coming up this Saturday on Love Wrestling, another one that I'm very excited to share with you guys, but lots of great stuff coming in the week prior to that. We'll show you guys a little teaser of that at the end of the show, but before we get to that, let's keep going through, chatting some professional wrestling with friends like Joel Pearl. Hopping in on YouTube, good to see you, man. Mojo going to Impact, a team with Cardona would be a rehash of what he's currently doing with Myers. Would rather see Mojo doing something totally new. I don't disagree there. I think you made a lot of good points, Kyle, in that he had a lot of stop-start stuff that really looked silly because he never got the opportunity to expand on it. Like, do you guys remember the 2 or 3 weeks where he was doing those mirror vignettes where he had sort of the blue face paint on the one side? I really think, and it is playing Monday morning quarterback on it, don't get me wrong, or I guess Sunday at quarter to noon quarterback on it, but they look really silly in retrospect because we never saw where it was going. We really never did. Maybe they go on for a month. Maybe he gets that big pay-per-view win. I know it's spitballing some situations that we maybe haven't had the opportunity to see, but you're bang on, Goose. He never really got that opportunity, and maybe he hopefully gets it elsewhere, but I agree with Joel there, and I'd like to see him doing something maybe a bit different. Lawrence hopping in as well, the guy who kept voting and basically ruining my time, I guess, last night, for lack of a better way to put it, and kept out as the imposter. A great guy, however, otherwise. Although Joe would be fun in NWA, I think AEW would be the best landing spot for him on a part-time basis. I have really no idea on his injury status, anything like that. Again, speculation only. That he wasn't cleared by WWE, and Parrish, like you alluded to, maybe that was part of the release. I couldn't comment on that with any sort of official inside knowledge or anything like that. But what I can comment is that I want to see that guy in the ring, if he is able to be in the ring, as often as possible. As often as possible. That guy, by my money, is he's one of the best wrestlers of the last 20 years. I really don't find many arguments to that. You could maybe find a lot of arguments if you say he's the guy or the number 1 or number 2 or the Mount Rushmore, whatever there. But if you're talking about great pro wrestlers of the 21st century and Samoa Joe's name isn't on that list, I lose a little respect for the opinion, for lack of a better way to put it. That guy's one of the all-time greats, especially when you're talking about this last 20 years, 2 decades. I like the idea of a Nick Aldis Samoa Joe match. I'm just going to throw that one.
That'd be nice.
I'm going to throw that one in there. Mr. J, I'll turn to you. You created the fantastic music, intro, outro, and were the first co-host of the NWA Power Out series we got going on here. So I'll maybe let you pick up the ball there as far as Joe going to AEW, NWA, MLW, or any other of these initialed companies that we hold so dear to our hearts.
If we're playing dreams here, just let him do everything. If he just signs like a one-off or a couple of shows appearances for each, just let him do it. I want to see that. I want to see him just tour around, maybe pick up a championship. I don't really care. I just want to see him wrestle as many people if he's allowed to.
You want to talk about great ideas for pro wrestlers right now, at least in my opinion, because it's my fantasy booking. So, of course, I think it's a great idea. Everybody talks about the Iconics reunion, rightfully so, but you talk about those single deals. Billy Kay showing up on every promotion with the resume would be golden. Absolutely golden right now.
Going to happen.
I mean, at least show up on one of them and be like, "Hey, here's my resume." Like,
I'd love it, but again, like I just love Billy Kay. I love a lot of the pro wrestlers that were released, and again, maybe that's why I'm a little more optimistic about it than usual. It's because they're such talented individuals. Like Peyton Royce, again, cutting that promo. What was it, a month ago, just prior to facing Asuka? Like, she's obviously got the skills on that end of things. Yep. She's a Storm Wrestling grad. I'm still of the belief that she hasn't shown everything that she can do as a singles wrestler. Whether she had the opportunity or not on WWE programming is a matter of opinion, I suppose, because she did get some opportunities, like you say, in facing Asuka. But she's got so much to show. I really think that. And whether it's her training with Storm, whether it's training at Flatbacks right now with Tyler Breeze and Sean Spears, who are, I again think that there's no argument that they're great technical wrestlers. Yeah. Right?
Yep.
Especially if
there's a lot of Storm as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's Tyler Breeze, the only WWE match for Jushin Thunder Liger, by the way. There's
by request.
A fun fact. There we are. A fun fact for everybody out there.
Big deal.
Like, it's a huge deal. That's one that's really understated, in my opinion. That's one of my favorite fun. Yeah, huge. Absolutely huge.
I really like Tyler Breeze. I think he's a fantastic.
Hall of Fame huge.
Yeah.
JPJ, I'll let you pick up.
Yeah, I think we all, at least on this chat, and a lot of us value Samoa Joe very similarly. What? I'm not even going to pretend. All the same, I will say. We value him all the same. So, I want him to fight. I have certain dream matchups for him in New Japan. I have certain in AEW. Like, I would love Omega if he wins the title from Rich Swann, and he has both titles one night on Dynamite, and he's like, I got these. I've beaten everyone here. Who's left? If Samoa Joe walked out, everyone would lose their mind, including me.
I'm still of the belief, and I'm going to throw her out here. I think that match is going to see the debut of either Okada or Ibushi.
Again, people would lose that. Yeah.
I don't think you're getting a clean finish to that Rich Swann, Kenny Omega match. I think you're having a schmoz finish with one of those two men. Both of them have the, I guess, grievances with Kenny Omega to pick it, whether it's Ibushi for how he left the Golden Lovers and how that sort of
they've been telling this storyline for years now.
Exactly. I don't want to and I don't want to say fizzled out with New Japan, but it was rushed just because of the situation happening with AEW and Omega leaving. And then Okada, I think that I don't need to explain that.
No.
We've got 20 minutes left in the show. I'm not taking up all that time.
But like Mighty Joe said too, like Samoa Joe and Ishii, that would be incredible. I think Samoa Joe and Minoru Suzuki would be beat the shit out of each other.
Yes.
Unbelievable. Like, you know what I mean? Like, come on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And like, even
I take
for
back
me,
everything I've ever said. I agree with that last point so much, and I need to see that. Like,
yeah,
that
right.
Something I need to see.
Yeah. And like, even for me, I think I think we all know where I stand on Chelsea Green as far as a professional wrestler and as far as a human being goes. Like, the amount of dream matches that are out there. I talked earlier about maybe Impact being the easy, logical, all those buzzwords, quote unquote choice, but like Britt Baker bringing back Fire and Ice in AEW, having that, not enforcer role, but I think they play similar enough characters, but different enough characters. You could have Chelsea Green in sort of that enforcer role, that sidekick role. They've done a really, really good job. Perfect. There we go. Right. Like, you can play that up. You can play again, Chelsea Green, by my money, is just one of the most talented both pro wrestlers and characters. Like, the fact that we could potentially see the hot mess back on the independent scene sooner rather than later is a benefit for professional wrestling fans worldwide. And I think that her being on television every week, all week, as often as possible, that would obviously be a huge benefit for pro wrestling fans worldwide. But luckily enough, there are great opportunities outside of WWE, and we're beating a dead horse making the point, but that's one of the benefits of AEW and Impact stepping their game up over the last couple of years, and Ring of Honor really tearing it up over the pandemic with the Pure tournament and everything in between. It's a good time to be a pro wrestling fan, even despite some of the uncomfortable or frankly shitty situations that come out of it, like the releases and all of the sort of stuff that goes with it. Parrish, no specific question for you, friend. I'm just going to give you the platform because I did cut you off there right off the bat. Don't think that I didn't notice. So the floor is yours, my friend.
I was also going to add like another match that I think even maybe WWE missed the boat on is a potential matchup between Samoa Joe and Walter. I think that would have been absolutely fantastic. And I would have loved to see even Samoa Joe.
Why would you tease me with that?
Because you cut me off, damn it. You cut me off.
All right. Well, we're even now.
But like
we're even.
There's just so much talent, and like I'm gonna reiterate this until we start doing more coverage of them. But NXT is by far the most undervalued and overlooked promotion in all of pro wrestling right now. You got the Tyler Bates of the world, who I think is a stud of a talent, and he is still just like 23, 24. I don't think he's even scratched the surface of what he can do. And then you got Ilya Dragunov, who I think would also have a great match with Samoa Joe. Or even if you want to talk to Trent Sevens, who I think is one of the better European true baby faces of the world. Pete Dunne is another guy that I don't think gets enough credit, to be honest, even though he's now in the NXT brand. And then you got like a Noam Dar, who I still think is absolutely underappreciated in like the respect factor from a viewer. Like, man, like they just don't do enough with that NXT UK with all the talent that they have, that when we see guys released from WWE, we always say, why not put them to NXT? But why not do something with the NXT UK guys? Because they have some of the best talent in all of pro wrestling, and they just don't get enough, quote unquote, pun intended this time, love.
One of the local Alberta guys just showed up on NXT UK.
Yeah, Rohan Raja signed there about a month and a half ago, and again, literally wrestles his first match here in Alberta. Another Storm Wrestling grad, a guy who he's just done great work. Like, even you look at his run in Impact as Gursinder Singh, and again, maybe a run that I've got a little personal bias to, because everybody, when you see a wrestler develop in your local indie or is from your hometown, you've got that bias. Let's just all admit it. But the Desi Hit Squad, I think, was a real missed opportunity. They really looked great coming out of their debut, and injury situations and, some situations out of people's control happen and fizzles out, and it's one of those things that for me, if anybody was going to leave or if anybody was going to break a faction up, whatever the situation or the plan was before Gursinder Singh, now Rohan Raja requesting his release, forced, I guess. Man, what they could have done. Always cool to see guys like that. No, he was he requested when he left Impact, Gursinder Singh requested his release. So he was out for okay. I'm not sure what the turnaround time, I guess, was prior to him signing with WWE, but about a year after that, year and a half up to this point was when he signed with NXT
to Edmonton with him and Zach Mercury once.
Hey, Spencer, what about this as something that we can possibly see? But we just saw John Moxley against Josh Barnett in Bloodsport. What about Josh Barnett versus Samoa Joe in Bloodsport?
You just know, again, and this has nothing to do with hometown bias or anything. Bloodsport is just cool as shit, friends, and I love it.
And we all know Joe can do this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I think this would be very fun.
I don't think I've ever seen it, but it sounds cool. Is that the one where they don't have any ropes?
And if you did no ropes there, that's where you could make the Suzuki and Joe thing happen.
And give me a Joe versus Eddie Kingston promo any day of the week, by the way. I'm going to say that.
Couldn't have
Give me
summed
that.
it up any better than this. Meat slapping heaven. Yep, that is
Touche.
JJ. Not only are you a good person, but you're eloquent, my friend, and it's always nice to see you in the comments section. I almost missed the opportunity for a nice little plugging, but don't say anything. Almost missed the opportunity.
What was that?
Clip this.
We're just gonna leave that open. It's fine.
Leave it alone. JPJ, there might not be a ton of NXT UK content out there, but there is certainly an abundance of NXT and AEW content here on Love Wrestling. I'll let you plug it again at the end of the show, but give us a little insight into the War Report if you can.
Yeah, the War Report is myself and Matt Sell, the franchise, we call him. And every Thursday, we have a podcast. It's called The War Report. We release it here on Love Wrestling. And it's a in-depth review of both NXT and AEW. We're about 4 or 5 weeks in. They've given us a lot. Luckily, they've given us amazing shows so far every week. So it hasn't been, a struggle to get through or a hard time to talk about. I don't know if you guys have seen the card so far for this Dynamite coming up on Wednesday, but holy shit. It is looking to be very, very good. But yeah, every Thursday, Matt and myself, the War Report, in-depth NXT and AEW review. It's been a lot of fun. And now that they're both on their own nights, I think we're in store for a good amount of wrestling and a good amount of talking coming in the future for sure.
I couldn't agree more. And ladies and gentlemen, as you mentioned, the War Report every Thursday just after about 11 a.m. noon Mountain Time, 1 p.m., 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Sometimes the shoot job gets in the way. Sometimes you got to take a little extra time to upload.
Yeah, it happens.
Sometimes you can't provide a consistent time, but that is, well, no, it's all the fault of mine. I can't even argue that. Kevin shouting out as well. Nice to see you, Kevin. That beard, yeah, it's a good-looking beard. I know I've been growing it out for the last little bit.
Thank you, Kevin.
Mighty Joe, I'll let you give a quick shout as well to Turnbuckle Rewind.
Kevin.
I know you got a great match.
Grand Prairie.
That he is. And not only that, but he is a great individual. He's on a lot of CWE shows. I know he worked the previous Clandestine Society, and I know he would have been there had there not been the restrictions in place. Great guy, great referee for all of your booking needs, Alberta or otherwise. He is a great human being to book. Mighty Joe, however, I was letting you plug where and what people can find and where they can find it as far as Turnbuckle Rewind goes this week.
Yeah, for sure. For Turnbuckle Rewind this week, we got a cool one in store. We're going back to WrestleMania 6 with Jake the Snake Roberts versus the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. And before that match, actually, if I'm not mistaken, if my memory serves me correctly, which it might not be, set up by one of the best promos of all time from Jake on $1 Million Man. So we'll not only be talking that promo, we'll be reviewing that match, and really looking forward to that. I mean, Jake the Snake Roberts, one of my favorites of all time. So looking forward to that. And also just a quick note with Turnbuckle Talk for those who do watch our other show with Carl and myself. That is coming up tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, not our usual 3 p.m. time. So just a little programming note for followers of Turnbuckle Talk as well.
Beautiful. And of course, Mr. J, give us a quick look at what we can expect, or a quick soundbite, I suppose, of what we can expect on Poetry of a Promo this week.
This week's episode of Poetry of a Promo will be simply iconic. That's right, we're going there. There might be another voice on the program this week. We haven't really decided yet. I haven't gone to the studio. We don't even know if we're going to have an episode. But the content I've been handed is the Iconics. Tune in to find out if it's a shit show or if it's just the normal show. We'll find out tomorrow.
Hey, there's only one piece of shit show on this broadcast, mister.
Sorry,
Hey, there's a lot of different points for those initials, Parrish, and those weren't one of them we threw out there. Ed hopping in with a great joke, yet a reused one, as he admits. More plugs than NXT's prime audience demographic. Well played. Well played. And as we get closer to closing it out here on the Sunday Brunch, Goose, I know you've got some stuff lined up here in the future on Love Wrestling, so maybe give people a taste on that and let us know where we can get the Canadian Goose merchandise that we all so desire.
Well, definitely go to Pro Wrestling Tees and search for Canadian Goose. It comes right up. You can go to Google and type in Canadian Goose Pro Wrestling Tees. It links you right there. I got 2 shirts up, one designed by my good friend Cameron Stevens and another designed by a professional comic book artist, Rad Pencils. So definitely buy yourself a Canadian Goose t-shirt because that really helps me out. Oh, there we go. Awesome. That's the link right there. Definitely, yeah, it does help me out a lot. So I really appreciate it. And I'm so stoked to actually get back in the ring in front of people, and hopefully there'll be some people there wearing Canadian Goose t-shirts at the show when the show starts up again. This Monday on Monday Night Shaw, I'm going to have Sweet Daddy Soul on the show. Sweet Daddy has wrestled everywhere from Calgary and Edmonton to Newfoundland to Winnipeg to Puerto Rico and Mexico now. He just won like a tag team championships in Puerto Rico. I think that we recorded like right before that, so I don't think we really talk about it because it was sort of like he won the championships, and then after the interview, it was going to air on TV, so it was still kind of kayfabe. We weren't allowed to, but definitely check it out because we have a great conversation, and he's a good friend of mine. So that'll be on Backbreaker Media on Monday Night Shaw. Of course, Backbreaker Media is also your source for the Clandestine Society show right now. So check that out as well. A lot of great wrestlers on there. Heavy Metal, Michael Richard Blaze, Zoe, Seger, Taryn from Accounting. You know, I was watching Impact Wrestling, and they had this like a pre-show match between 2 women there. And honestly, like, I'm not trying to crap on the girls that were wrestling for Impact. It was Havoc and Nevaeh. But I was like, I've seen Zoe and Taryn have a better match than this countless times. So Impact, get in touch with like Zoe and Taryn because they deserve the spotlight for sure.
Yeah, we had Michael Richard Blaze versus Brandon Van Danielson versus Artemis Spencer from the first Clandestine. We had
so
Speedball Bailey streaming that the other week, right? We got to support Albertan professional wrestling, just as Albertan professional wrestling needs to get back in business sooner rather than later at full force. However, like he said, Clandestine Society airing on Backbreaker Media. I think they aired the latest episode last night or tonight. I know that the first episode was on Easter Sunday. Yeah, I can't really give you a specific date that the last one aired. It was either last night or tonight.
It's on YouTube right now. Just search it up, Clandestine Society.
So would have been last night then. However, I am here to plug Love Wrestling. Let's talk about what we got this week. Boom, this Monday, as we mentioned, it's going to be iconic both for poetry of a promo and Love Wrestling recapping Monday Night Raw. We've got some Bada Boom, NWA, and Mind Behind coming to you on Tuesday. Wednesday's got Michael Allen, Richard Clark with not only a great promo photo, but a great interview coming your way. Our regularly scheduled content on Thursdays, a double dose of Turnbuckle Rewind and the War Report, and lots of great stuff coming up this weekend. We got Josh throwing some Stephanie McMahon content your way. I've got my interview with PCO coming out. We've got some more reactions coming out for Impact. We've got them coming out for SmackDown. We've got everything coming your way. And of course, even outside of the wrestling side of things, we've got Blowing Off Stream returning this Saturday at midnight Eastern Time, 10 p.m. Unless, of course, it isn't. If we can find more people to play earlier, if we can find more people to play later, scheduled times are subject to change, frankly, as per our whims. But whenever we happen to hop on, we hope you guys do it with us. We so thoroughly appreciate the support. I know I speak for JPJ, Mr. J, Mighty Joe, Parrish, and the Canadian Goose. Honk, honk, honk. When I say that, thank you guys for taking the time to spend some of it with us this morning on Twitch, on YouTube, on Facebook Live. If you guys are watching us right now on YouTube or Facebook, you guys are going to see our music. You guys are going to get that in a couple of seconds. If you guys are on Twitch, we're going to stream. We're going to raid. Excuse me. I'm still learning. You guys know I'm a bit of an old man as far as this goes. We're going to raid Mariah May, who I've actually got the opportunity to chat with in about an hour's time. So Let's go say hi to her in a group setting before I get to in a one-on-one interview. Again, you guys can catch that on Love Wrestling sooner rather than later. But right now, we're going to head over that way. The raid has started. So right now, all I am doing is vamping for about the next 5 seconds. Thanks once again for tuning in, friends. Here's the music, and we'll see you on another channel.